Driver's Mate podcast or Driver's Mate podcast. Yeah, I still got a whisper because it's still quite a secret, innit? We're like an exclusive club, like a family, or maybe a secret society, or maybe we're a cult now. Shit, maybe are we a cult, like the League of Drivers Mates? Anyway, foolishness, right? I don't know, like you're probably thinking, what is this guy on, right? If this is your first time watching this, just relax, just chill, and just watch and wait, right? The people who know for a reason, yeah? I know your mates, or even you might be like, what? Why the hell would I want to watch a podcast with just one guy on it, bruv? But understand this, yeah? If you've ever heard of a guy called Bill Burr, right? Bill Burr is an American comedian, a white ginger guy, right? Absolutely hilarious. But although Bill Burr done his thing in the comedian circuit, right, and on the radio in the early 2000s, Opie and Anthony and all other stuff, right, Bill Burr does a one-man podcast, right? Sometimes he has his wife on it, right? But that shit is hilarious, right? And he's just there, he's just there saying his thoughts, speaking about things, replying to people, right? And he's got this funny thing, he's like, ladies, right? I can't do it, but it is hilarious, right? And then one-man shows have been great through history as well. Like, I mean, after Mike Tyson did like his big run in boxing and all of that, right, he had a show, like a limited show, a release of a show that he did in Vegas, I think, where it was just a one-man show, right, and he was just on stage trying to make jokes, telling his life story, right, and it was very successful. That transferred into Mike Tyson doing the cartoon, into doing the podcast, and then all other things outside of the arena of boxing, right? So never underestimate the power of a one-man show, and not even just a one-man show, just a real person like me actually just bullshitting and pontificating and making banner of things that I think about, right? Because I'm just like you. The only difference is it's like I just let the cameras roll, right? And whatever happens, right? You know what I mean? And people be like, that's mad, right? A one-man show, right? But just remember this. Remember when Blade Brown was like, there was so much B in the room, I didn't even want to be in the room. and it was like, there was so much light in the room, I didn't even need a light in the room. You get it, right? So that's why I move like that, right? There's so much light in the room, I don't even need a light in the room, right? I'm mad enough already, right? But not to say that in the future I won't have a co-host, or maybe I'll have call-ins with you guys, right? Zoom calls, StreamYards, right? And we'll interact together. But for now, I'm just task stacking. I'm killing time on the commute, just talking nonsense to you. Now, the fact that some of you probably have no idea what I've just quoted, right? That is Blade Brown. He's a UK rapper that originated in the early 2000s of the UK rap scene, right? Now, if you know, you know, right? That is kind of my era of rap, right? UK rap. But the guys like Blade Brown, your Giggsies, your PDCs, your DVSs, your North Star, your Young Sprays, all of them, man, yeah? And there's many more names, right, that I could go into, right? You got your South people, most just London people, right? And not to say that the rest of the country weren't rapping their ass off too, but these guys were the most popular at the time, right? Them man laid the foundation for the watered down version of rap, UK rap that you have now, right? I don't want to throw no one under the bus now that I've said watered down, but just think about it like this, right? If there was no Blade Brown, there's no Gigs and all of them, man, yeah? You don't get no Stormzy's, you don't get no Daves, you don't get no Central C's, you don't get none of these little drill rappers, right? Because all of them grew up listening to those guys, right? And other guys like that, right? So just keep that in mind. It's a brief bit of like history, but hey, do you even care, right? Because to be honest, today it's a chill day, right? It's a Friday for me, right? It's a random Friday in October, and I'm working so early the sun hasn't even bust through the clouds properly yet, right? So the video probably looks kind of dark to you, right? Because like I said, there was so much light in the room, I didn't even need a light in the room. That is questionable business, right? I don't know what he was up to, what he was into, right? I'm not going to say what we was up to, what we was into, but that was great music for the time, right? And it still is. But yeah. So imagine that, right? Ain't it mad how music holds memories, right? And it unlocks. It's like, you know, your senses. You get your five senses, right? Whatever they are, right? I'm probably gonna mash it up, right? Because I'm I'm not all there today, as you can probably tell, right? I'm not all there yet. I ain't probably had my coffee and that, yeah. But you see how your senses. So, alright, let me have a sip of the coffee, right? Let me have a sip of the brew. Alright, so you see how so in art, right, and in literature and stuff like that, right? I know we're getting off on a tangent already, right? But when you interact with a film, a piece of art, music or something like that, it connects with the neurons in your mind, and then all of your senses make a neural connection with that sound, right? Because that's, you're hearing the sound with your senses as well, right? But you now form a connection between your mind and that song, right? So it imprints a time, space in your existence, in your life, and now you have a memory attached to that song, a memory attached to that piece of art, a memory attached to that piece of that book, right? A real life memory, right? So that's what happens when for some of you, like English people anyway, right? When I said that Blade Brown lyric, right? You knew exactly what that meant, right? For a whole variety of reasons, and you have your own set of memories attached to that time, right? Even if you don't know that particular song, when I say a name like Blade Brown and gigs, right? Talking the hardest era or Walk in the Park era, you know what I mean? Dubs and all that, man. You understand what that means, right? Because you was probably like me, coming out of high school or in college, right? And things were different then, right? Things were happening then, right? That's what we're gonna say on that. But yeah, music does literally hold memories and unlocks your mind's memories, right? Which is absolutely incredible when you think about it. And not even just on that like gangster street, a school kid doing bad shit and stuff like, right? Recently, I know obviously, because like I said, it's October, right? And it has its own connotations with Black History Month and everything, but recently my mum died like about two months ago, maybe, about that, right? And it's coming up about that now, right? But I grew up with West Indian parents in a pretty much West Indian household, right? So reggae was everywhere all the time. My dad was a reggae musician and all of that, right? So that is my foundational existence in home life, right? Now I say this, right? There was a long period in my life after my dad died, right? When I was in my early 20s. I know it's mad, right? It's quite tragic. It's quite a lot of tragedy. But anyway, I'm jovial about it, so you should be jovial about it, right? There was a long period in my life, right, after that, where I just couldn't listen to reggae, right? It would just trigger me in such a bad way, and I was doing it to myself, right? There was nothing wrong with the songs. There was nothing wrong, like, it was just me. After my dad died, I'd rinsed these songs so much, right, that I just didn't want to ever hear them again, right? And I just had that kind of bitterness to the whole idea of reggae, right? Which is stupid, because I have a lot of happy memories and a lot of good times attached to these songs, right? Memorizing the lyrics, being quizzed by your parents, like, "Boy, you know this thing, you know this song, yeah, you know that, right?" You know how we do, right? In our culture, in our traditions, you know how we do, right? Man, have records, dub plates, exclusive stuff, and they're like, "Hey, don't touch my records," right? And they'll let you hear the records. You memorize the records as a child, right? And then sometimes the memory will come back to you. Like I said, the music has memories, right? So recently, like, I've kind of been working on myself, right? I don't have to get too traumatic and therapy-ish, right? But I've been working on myself, right? So I've managed to get over that kind of trauma attachment I had, that trauma bond I had with reggae, right? And I'm now back to kind of where I was, right? I'm happy to hear reggae and I can listen. I've been just whipping out bare tunes, tune after tune, just making a big mega playlist of all kinds, right? And I'm a man, because the mad thing about music, right, and reggae in particular, so let's just look at it like this, from a family perspective, right? There's the reggae my dad would listen to, right, which is roots rock reggae, Rastaman business, right? Then there's the reggae my mum would listen to, which is like lovers rock, like, you know what I mean, like dancehall kind of rhythms, right? Your Beres Hammonds and your Dennis Browns and your John Holt's, and yeah, then my dad's like your Peter Toshes, your Culture, your Burning Spear, your Errol Dunkley's, like, and it just goes off into that, the music of their youth, which is like the 1960s, 1970s, right? So there was like doo-wop reggae before there was roots reggae and lovers rock and all of that, right? So there's all of that Trojan history, all of that you can go and check out. But the mad thing being a child of a family like that, right, is you get that both sides of reggae, right? And I've been picking them up and then listening to them and just going through that, right? But like I said, you have your dad's side, like, which is the more serious business kind of reggae, right? We're about this life, this bringing up the culture, this freeing up our people, right? And then you have your mum's side of the reggae, which is not too serious, it's more about dancing, living, having a good life, right? And you know what I mean? Good messaging, right? And then there's family reggae, right? The reggae that they were okay when they knew we was actually in the room kind of reggae, like, and then, I don't know, like, you get your Bob Marleys, you get your Lucky Dubes, and all of these people that are not too one side or the other side, right? You know, and they're right for family settings. But anyway, I've been going through those tunes, right, and it's just bringing up those memories, and now I'm in a better place. Them songs don't hold. I'm not holding bad memories with them, right? I'm holding good memories, and it's crazy when I listen to them. It's like I know every word for word, and I wasn't even thinking about these songs, but as soon as I hear that start, that I know what it is, right? So that it's just that music does form memories, and it unlocks memories, right? And it's a beautiful thing, right? So when I said that Blade Brown lyric, for some of you it unlocked certain memories, right? And some of you not. I don't even know if Blade Brown is really that like celebrated or well known like that, because I'm not up on what's happening in English culture anymore. I don't really care, right? I'm a working man, right? I'm busy, right? And when I say I'm busy, I'm bloody busy, bruv. I'm so busy, right? I can't even find a girlfriend, bruv. I haven't got time to really go properly on Instagram, on Bumble, on Tinder, right? I swipe sometimes, there's a bunch of messages, I've started speaking to people, but I can't be bothered, right? Because it's simple as this. I work a job, right? A long hour job, right? Very hard job. I wake up early in the morning, I come home fairly late, right? And in between that time, I do things like this, right? So I'm working while working, right? I know it's not work because I'm entertaining you, but the editing of it, the uploading of it, the writing of it, that's all work, right? And then I'm committed to things in my life, right? And then obviously I've got to make my food and all that when I get home, preparation, and I've got a gym, I've got to work out, I've got to read, I have to read, right? I know you lot are like, well, I have to read, like, I have to read, right? For my own reasons that has nothing to do with anything, right? But it's very hard, right? And where am I supposed to meet women? Like, I know I said it's Friday, but I'm working again Saturday, so it's like, you know what I mean? I work all week except for one day, right? And then on that one day, I've got so many chores to do that I couldn't do during the week. So it's like, yeah. Anyway, of course, I'm a busy man, right? I don't even know how I go off into that tangent, right? I know you man are thinking like, what's this brother on, right? When's he just gonna put up a YouTube video and just react to it, yeah? But maybe not, right? And actually, that reminds me, yeah. When speaking of YouTube reactions, right, I know a lot of my viewers, right, and people that interact with my channel have also interacted with the red pill manosphere, the black manosphere kind of thing, right? And I know there's crazy talking points over there, like about the Keishas, the Beckys, and a lot of 304s and all of that, yeah. But yesterday, I actually had a run-in with a group of real life Keishas, right? And some of them were alright, right? But their attitudes, well, yeah, you know what I mean, right? Anyway, right, I walked into a shop, right? I was gonna say the ends it was in, right, but that'd be too bait, right? Too bait for them, too bait for me, right? I walked into a shop, right, and there's three of these girls, and they're having some loud conversation in front of the till, and then one of them's like, they're basically saying, nah, man, I can't. Right? They was basically. They were dissing somebody, but kind of doing it in a conversationally gossip way. They was like, you can't be going selling your stuff all the time, right? Because they was talking about someone going in cash converters and all that kind of shit, right? And you get that, you know what that is like from poverty, street shit, all of that, right? You know what that life is about, right? But they were saying that, but then they degenerated into, I can never live with a man, right? The man has to live with me, right? And they were all agreeing. It was like, yeah, man, the man has to live with me. And I was so badly just wanted to be like, oh, why though? Why do you want to have that much control, right? Because they said other things, but I can't really put it from my mind like that. And I so badly want to jump in the conversation. Now, me being the type of person I am, sometimes if I'm not busy, right, and I don't have to be somewhere quick, right, like I did, right, I will jump into conversations, right, and I'll just make banter with complete strangers, just make people smile, have a laugh, right. I always do that to people when I'm out in the world, right, because it's fun for me to break that kind of veneer of reality. Like, they see me and they see like a black man with a hoodie and sometimes a mask and that, right, they think, fucking hell, right. But then when I bust a joke to them, right, and I just bring them out of their preconceived notion, it entertains me, right, and it entertains them, and they walk away with a smile, and I've acknowledged someone as another human being, right. So I do that all the time, but this time I couldn't have done that. And to be honest, if I did do that, boy, it might have been a mad thing, right. So I want it to be like, what makes you as a woman, right, want to have all of that power? Because I can tell, like, I'm not saying they're brokies, but there's a certain type of girl, right, and she just looks like, all of them just look like they spent too much time on road, too much time dealing with benefits, baby daddies and all that kind of, yeah, I don't even know if they had kids or not, but the way they went on, right, you get the kind of girl I mean, right. And I'm calling them Keishas so my American guys understand what I'm saying, right. Bonnet bays, yeah. So the way they were going on, I was just thinking like, raw, why do you want that much control, right? If a man's already got his yard, because one of them obviously were living with a man, right, and whatever happened based on their conversation, he's dropped off. But I was in the line, right? They're in the line as well. If they would have a big broad conversation in the shop, it's their business, right? They don't care. Now look at you. You're on a podcast, isn't it? But anyway, one of them was living with a man for some reason, whatever, they had their problems, yeah, and then I was like, nah, man, he has to live with me, right? I need that control, right? And I'm thinking, you lot are fucking idiots, right? What is the point in a man building up all of these resources, all of this power, to move you in as a girlfriend or a wife, right, and basically have everything already set out for you, so you just need to so you can just nest, right, and just live a life, and whatever agreement you have, right? But nah, you're on this mindset of the man has to live with me, and one of them actually said it so I can kick him out. Why do you want him to live with you then, if you just wanted to live with you so you can kick him out, right? This is the kind of stupidity that exists amongst this, I was about to say class of people, right? Like, I'm not a poor, lower working class, right? But you get what I mean, yeah? Among that type of demographic, their minds are just warped, and I wanted to be like, bruv, do you not have dads, right? Do you think your dad would want you to go live with your husband, or your husband to come live with you, right? I wanted to go in, right, and just not go in, but just enlighten them to the other side of that argument, right? How silly they look saying that. But anyway, like, I don't know. I didn't want to degrade into them kind of conversations, right? And especially this Black History Month, right? I don't want to bash black women, right? Because it's not right, yeah. But that was just a mad thing to me, yeah. But yeah, what the hell does Black History Month even mean anyway? Like, what does that really mean? Like, and you know what's mad? England's Black History Month is October, right? But America's Black History Month is February. Why isn't it agreed, right? It's just stupid. It's actually egregious, right? And then, you know, like so like for the poor people at school right now, right? They're getting force-fed Martin Luther King bullshit, right? for this whole month, right? And quads and shit and all kinds of nonsense. It's not real Black history, right? That's white people's interpretation of Black history, right? And it's very small skewed stupidity, right? Realistically stupidity, because they're gonna make them all learn that I have a dream speech, right? But they're not gonna make them even consider that Martin Luther King had other speeches and he was getting bloody chased down by dogs and water hoses and shit like that. And then later in his career he was like, actually, I have a dream isn't gonna work, right? Because of right? They're not gonna tell you about Marcus Garveyism, right? They're not gonna tell you about what's his name? W.D. Du Bois. They're not going to tell you about these kind of people, right? It's going to force feed you idiots the same thing, make you buy cocoa butter, make you buy Uncle Ben's rice and reggae sauce, right? And you lot are just going to get boiled off like dickheads like you do every year, right? Now me, like I said, I'm a man of culture, right? And there's certain things in my Caribbean diaspora and African descendancy that I will not divulge on a podcast unless you want to be particularly involved or understand what it is, or if you just want to have that conversation, what it really means to be a black person and what it really means to know your history. That's why I said it's a must that I read, right? So they can't do that to me, right? And going back to the reggae topic, right? I don't like baked reggae, right? I don't like zeggy reggae, right? I don't like that shit, right? I just don't. I like roots rock reggae and the stuff that my mum used to listen to, right? Even though she listened to stuff like Burr's Hammond and all them, yeah, but them man still have fucking tunes, right? But like I said, there's that middle of the road reggae, that commercial reggae, like your Bob Marley's and that. So much bad shit comes along with that, like so much dumb stereotyping from the Western world and the white world comes from that. Like, if I click on a Bob Marley song, right, and it's not a bait one, because I don't listen to bait Bob Marley songs, I just don't, right, because of those same people, right, they've ruined it, right. So I listen to the more underground album cut Bob Marleys, if I do, right. But if you click on a Bob Marley song on YouTube, the algorithm goes immediately, yep, he's a Rasta man, or he's a mixed race guy that wants to connect with his black side, so they're gonna start selling me cocoa butter, they're gonna start selling me chicken. I literally watch it happen in real time, right? And most of you are looking at me and thinking, what's the problem with that, right? What's wrong with that? Yeah, that's why I would say to you, you are either not up on your black history, or you're probably not a real black, strong raised black person, right? With real identity, real culture, and aware of the subtext of politics that is happening all around you, right? You're either asleep, a bloody, I was going to call you Uncle Tom, right? But there's a whole different history when it comes to Uncle Tom, what it actually means versus what we think it means, right? But let me just say that, right? If you can't really understand what I just said there, chances are you're probably a coon and you've been cooning for a long time. But it's no business of mine, right? Even to me, man like Umar Johnson, them man are coons as well, right? They're not real serious black people. They're just grafters, grifters, and scammers, right? They're the surface level people, that the idiots that don't have a history, that aren't aware and weren't educated as a child, right? They weren't, I'm about to say indoctrinated, but to a sense indoctrinated, right? If they didn't know the real history and the real meanings of what it meant to be suffering because of your skin colour, they will be the people that are funneled to your Dr. Umars and your reggae sauce and your Bob Marley and all of that, right? Real surface level bullshit, right? With all due respect. But yeah, the poor kids that are learning about black history right now, and your stupid, like, socially aware consciousness, I know I almost sound like a right-wing white person when I'm saying this, but it's for a good reason, because even the far right-wing white people understand this as well. All of that is bullshit, right? That's not real black history, it's not real black culture. That's veneered, appeasing bullshit to market and sell you this idea and have you walking down this path of wokeness, right? Instead of just being an actual black, well, you're not even really black, that's still politics as well. Being an African, West Indian, or an American, right? Or an indigenous dark-skinned person, right? All of that's just, I know that sounded like something else, right? But don't watch that, yeah? All of that is just marketing and clever politics, right? That's not the real truth of what it means to be a black person. It's surface level bullshit, right? To tick a box. It's like, you know how corporate does, right? We need to hire a black person. All right, let's find the most washed out black person we can, right? Yeah, it's the same thing. But anyway, I'm proper degenerated, right? But man, listen, it was supposed to be just this is why I say in the beginning, right? It's a secret, right? Because only certain men are even gonna hear what I'm saying and really understand what it is I've just said, right? Boy, let's get into some reactions, because I was getting into a mad thing, wasn't I? I was about to blow the fucking lid off this shit, right? Not too soon, my boy, not too soon. Alright, what we got here?
Well, it's hard to say. I watched some films of Jack Johnson, Joe Bush, Rocket Marciano, Johnny Also, and Gene Tunes, and Charles Walcott. And those fighters in those days, they didn't dance much. They just stood there and traded a lot of punches. I would say football teams today are better and stronger and healthier baseball teams than they were then, and the boxers are too. So Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano, Jack Johnson, Jack Dempsey were good up in that day. I would say a four-motor jet prop plane that we flew a few months ago was good then, but now you like the jets. So you couldn't compare a jet with a prop, but still the prop was good for its time. How many people in the world in the history?
That was Muhammad Ali, right? Big man, right? See, look at the universe, right? I know you're probably thinking that was scripted. No, it's not scripted. I don't know what YouTube's just gonna show me. But you see one of the names, right, that he just mentioned? Jack Johnson. One of the first, I don't know if it was heavyweight, but one of the first, like, black champions in boxing, right? Back when boxing was like 20 rounds and shit. Some of it was bare knuckle, some of the gloves were so thin, it may as well have been bare knuckle, right? These men were pummeling each other, right? Jack Johnson was mashing up everybody, right? Listen, every great fighter knows about Jack Johnson, right? If that's the right name, right? And not to be confused with Dempsey, right? It's a different person, different time. Jack Johnson, yeah, he was so bad. He's such a bad man at fighting, right? And a bad man in reality. They had to make laws to stop this man, bruv. They didn't give him his dues, right? They didn't give him his title, the right pay or nothing, right? And he had a thing for white women, right? I know, right? So, you can just imagine at the racist times when we're like then, right? And this bad man is just licking down all of your best fighters, right? Going through the country just banging white women, and there's nothing you can do about it. You could try KKK him, you could try shoot him, right? But he's a bad man in real life, outside of the ring, right? So he will just mash you up. So they had that issue. So they went and changed laws, like state laws and all of that. So just to fuck up Jack Johnson, right? That's another mad history. You see what I mean? Like, there's so much. They're not gonna tell you about that in Black History Month, are they? Right? Of course they're not, because it don't fit in that narrative, right? Look at me, degenerating, right? Going into some mad, like, I'm not an extremist, right? I'm not. I'm just passionate sometimes when you speak about these things. It ignites a whole set of issues and emotions that aren't very much discussed, right? I'm a normal person, a human, just like you, right? So I have my annoyances or grievances with history, like most people do, like Irish people do, right? You get me? Irish people have been oppressed just as much, right? Polish people, Slavics and shit, right? They've got the same kind of issues like we have, right? But anyway, that's neither here nor there, right? But yeah, for a man like Muhammad Ali, he was making a great point. He was saying he studied all of these greats and he noticed. So like he was saying, a jet is a jet and a normal passenger plane is a passenger plane, but they're both good for what they are at the time, right? Now he studied what was there before him and elevated. You know, like how don't do it, bro. I'm gonna do it, right? You know how like how in Baki would like visualize and study all of these different people and have make his own fighting style. That's essentially what Muhammad Ali done as well. He studied the greats, he saw what was missing, saw what he could add. Just like any profession, if you're really on the ball, if you're an inventive, creative, thinking person, you can find the missing link in all of what exists already, right? Building that foundation to do something great, right? And that's exactly what Muhammad Ali done, right? And then if you up on like your history or your background or me as a person, right? You know, as much as I love and respect Muhammad Ali, I don't think he's the greatest of all time. I think Mike Tyson is the greatest of all time, right? And the reason I say that is this. Yes, Muhammad Ali had a unique fighting style for his time, right? But like he was saying, they stood there and took blows. Muhammad Ali stood there and took blows. Although he was float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, he stood there and took so much fucking blows, he mashed up his brain, right? And I know you can say it's Parkinson's, but it all plays a part, right? But yeah, Muhammad Ali would take a lot of bloody blows unnecessarily, right? It's stupid. But he's a showman. And that showmanship, right? And that like indoctrination and that bringing in the Nation of Islam and the Nation of Islam bringing him in, right? All of that shit with Muhammad Ali was just politics, right? And that's why I would say the idea of the character we know Muhammad Ali to be today is a psyop, right? For that time. And it all plays a very serious, significant political role in the black Americans' plight, African people's plight in America, right? And then Muslim people, right? But this is the problem I have with it as well, right? For Asian people, don't get vexed at me, but I'm talking to you specifically, right? Because you do this with Muhammad Ali and you do this with Tupac, right? Now I sound like a racist white man there, but who cares, right? The truth is the fucking truth, right? Anyway, forget about Tupac. We'll get to him at another time. But you do this with Muhammad Ali. The man's name is Cassius Clay, right? This is why I'm very serious about this shit, calling Muhammad Ali a psyop, right? Asian people, particularly Muslim people, they latch on to Muhammad Ali because of his Muslim connotations and changing his name to Muhammad Ali. Who is Muhammad Ali? Muhammad Ali is such a fucking common name. There's billions of people called Muhammad Ali. There were millions of people called Muhammad Ali before Cassius Clay called himself Muhammad Ali. There's a great warrior called Muhammad Ali, right? You see the stupid psychology that's happening in the mix of all of that shit, right? So, not to get too angry or disrespectful, but they attach themselves to the Muhammad Ali because of the religious connotations. Now, I would say to you, right, if you feel like that and your thing is you're just going to pick up Muhammad Ali because his name's Muhammad Ali and he's a Muslim, guess what? Mike Tyson is a Muslim too. How do you feel about that, right? Wow, right? Drops Mike, bombshell, yeah? I'm fucking Jeremy Clarkson in this shit today, right? I know you're going to think I have a problem or I've got a chip on my shoulder, but I don't, right? I'm just telling you the truth, right? I've got Asian friends, right? I've got black friends, right? Yeah, but I'm telling you the truth, right? We all grew up together and we can have these conversations and honest conversations, right? The idea of Muhammad Ali being larger than life comes from that political agenda with him rebelling against the war. Then why would they, right? Although Muhammad Ali spoke fairly well for a boxer, he wasn't the most educated, intelligent speaker, right? He rhymed and he entertained, right? Why do you think they gave him so much airtime? It was a politicalized agenda to make people identify with these kinds of stereotypes of black people, right? And you got to remember the civil rights movement and all of that shit was happening at the same time, right? So with his alignment to the Nation of Islam and then you get like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and all of that shit was happening at the same time, right? So I'm not undermining his actual humanitarian efforts, but don't make Muhammad Ali out to be more than he is as a person. He's a great fucking fighter, right? And that's it. Leave it there, right? The politics, the influence is a lot of that's undue, right? And it's mixed up nonsense. It has nothing to do with anything, right? But as an actual boxing fighter, he's a bad man, right? And he is one of the greatest fighters of all time, right? But the out of the ring politics, I couldn't care less, right? Because like I just said, people attach to the identities that appeal to them and their cultures the most, right? And maybe you could say the same thing with me and Mike Tyson, but I was born in the 90s, so I got to see the tail end and the flourishing of Mike Tyson as a boxer and as a human being till today in 2023, right? He's still a bad man, a real life bad man. He's smarter than he lets on. Yes, he may not speak that well, but I think he knows and is up on his shit a lot more, right? And you can say, yeah, maybe that's my own personal traumas, my own personal background that identifies with Mike Tyson, right? Maybe it does, right? Maybe it doesn't, right? Fuck it. That's my truth on that, right? But yeah, I respect and I love Cassius Clay, yeah, Muhammad Ali, but all of the Nation of Islam stuff, and I respect them too, your Farrakhan's, your Elijah Muhammad's, your Malcolm X's, I respect them too for what they do and what they've done, but it's not to get that, don't mix up politics and boxing, right? It's two different things, right? Who Muhammad Ali is out of the ring, he's a great humanitarian too, right? Fair enough. But that doesn't give you the right to like excel him above all other boxers, all other. Right, I'll give you an example. Is Muhammad Ali better than Floyd Mayweather on paper? No, he's not, right? Do you understand that? But is Floyd Mayweather better than Muhammad Ali on paper outside of the ring? No, he's not, right? So you see what I'm saying here? It's all subjective. So let's not blow people out of proportion and make them too larger than life and too devoided from reality, right? And I know this is going to get a lot of people vexed, everything I've said in this episode, but I don't care. We're not politically correct, and that is why this show is real, like it's real, right? But with that aside, I rate Muhammad Ali as an individual, and he has said some very impressive things, and he did stand up to some very powerful and important people, right? Granted, but that religious that bullshit of the religious forefront and changing his name is what, if we're being honest, is what propelled Muhammad Ali to where he is, right? Because a lot of powerful people that want to progress their agendas saw that as a political key, right? To say, hey, now we can push this Muslim agenda and we can push this civil rights agenda, we can push this black and not African and other, right? Muhammad Ali is a middle class kid, right? He's not like Mike Tyson, right? He didn't come from nothing and actually have to depend on that boxing ability. No, A lot of Muhammad Ali's success happens outside of the ring, right? And a lot of you, man, that rate Muhammad Ali as the highest and the greatest boxer ever, couldn't even name 5 of his fights, right? You couldn't even name 5 of his biggest opponents at actual fights. You can only name the most popular bullshit, surface level bullshit. And I understand it, right? As a casual boxing fan myself, I understand it, right? Why do you need to know that much information if you don't care about boxing? But don't jump the gun in it. Don't get lost in the fans and the fanatical side of things, right? So much that you get blindsided by all the politics and rhetoric that come along with that, right? So with all due respect to Muslims and Nation of Islam and civil rights, right? I'm a black person too, right? So I understand it, right? I grew up with Muslim people, I've got Muslim people in my family too, right? I understand it, yeah? It's nothing against you, because I will speak to you and about you the same way I would speak to a Christian and about a Christian and a Jewish person in Judaism, right? Politics is politics, rhetoric is rhetoric. There's good people in all groups, there's bad people in all groups, right? It's a mixed bag. And every person, especially famous, successful people, are polarizing, right? So yeah, I don't know why we got off such a mad tangent, man. You're feeling riled up, right? Round up, right? But anyway, chances are when you see this, you're not going to see it in October or February, right? Because if you're watching on YouTube for free, you're watching a schedule, right? Which is probably about 2 to 3 years by now behind this episode, right? Because this is season 3. And by the time you see this, if you're watching it on YouTube, we might be God knows where, right? We might be blown up, or we might just have stopped completely, right? And you never know what the future holds. But because I'm a workaholic, right? I'm a self-confessed workaholic. Everything I do, like I said, I do have a level of ADHD, right, or ADD, where I jump from one thing to the other because of my own idiosyncrasies and neural formation, right? My own weirdness that you probably have too, right? But everything I do, I try to do it to the best of my ability. And I'm like, there's this Chinese lady that has a YouTube, I've forgotten her name, right? But she has this thing called Lonely Octopus, right? I know it sounds weird, but anyway, if you know, you know, right? But that octopus style of learning and doing things is a person that does many things, right, at once, right? That's the kind of person I am, right? So when I do something like this in the creative arena, I give it my all, and I do it bang, 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 one after the other. That's why you're not seeing these podcasts in real time, unless you've signed up to Patreon. Then you will see the seasons as I make them, and you can binge watch, you can go back, you can check out the catalogue. But if you're just watching it on YouTube or maybe Spotify or whatever it is you listen to now, because like I said, who knows what the future holds, right? When you're seeing this, you're seeing this, right? But yeah, you're watching it on a schedule. If you want to be a part of this thing, right? If you want to be part of this thing of bars, yeah, you know what to do. You can go find me on Patreon. I think it's Drivers Mate or Drivers Mate Podcast, right? And I know, man, like I started off so jovial and happy, right? But now I've made myself upset, right? You can see it, you can feel it like it's a dampener, like, fucking hell, mate, why'd you have to get so serious, right? Like, and it's not even a race thing or anything like that. It's just like, yo, it's just mad, right? Humanity is so messed up, right? Things are unfair and things are good too. Like I know I'm making it a downer, but anyway, let's bring the energy back up, right? It's Friday for me, might be Friday for you, right? I've got work tomorrow as well, right? But let's just pretend for a minute that I have a social life and that after work I'm not going to go back to my house and just work some more, right? And exercise and just never have a social life again, right? And what I was thinking earlier on, yeah, you know, like, because I say it's quite an exclusive podcast, you know, some things you'd be like, yeah, I want to share this with my brethren, right? But then you think, nah, actually, my brethren's kind of mad, right? If I give this to him, if I put him onto this, right, he's going to take this and he's going to act like he knows me better than you know me, right? And you've been here longer than he has, right? You know what I'm saying? Them type of people, you're going to be like, I'm watching you, bruv. I can't, you know what I mean? You're kind of a swag biter, right? I can't really put you on, right? And that's another reason why things like this stay quite niche, right? Because there's a lot of swag biters and style stealers in the world, right? And it's fair enough, being influenced, I'm influenced by people, I'm sure people are influenced by me. But with that saying, with that influence, right, I don't want to influence you to be negative or have racial and xenophobic and anti-religious points of view, right? That's just a very small section of a wider topic, right? And I approach these topics unsensitively, but I do sometimes approach them from the most fair, objective perspectives, right? So I don't want to preach any kind of hate. If you felt that, I apologize, but at the same time, this is real, right? And me and you both know when the cameras are off or when we're having a private conversation, we are honest, right? We're real, we're men and women, we don't bullshit, we don't shy away from the truth, but the truth will set you free. Just like I was thinking, earlier on today, right? Somebody or a couple of the men at work, right, keep taking shits, right? Why do they keep taking shits, right? I'm the type of person, I cannot take a shit at work. I have to wait, and I know it's probably going to have knock-on health effects, right? But I have to go home and take a shit, right? I can't do it at work, right? And how did he end up talking about shit, right? But that realness, right, is, I get why they do it, right? They don't give a fuck, right? Because why should they? Yeah, but a man like me, when I have to go to the toilet after one of them, right, and a lot of these men, right, you go to the toilet and then fucking the toilet seat's up and there's footprints on the toilet bowl, and as English people, we're like, what the fuck was you doing, right? But obviously, if you're from an Asian country or African country or even some European countries, people take shits the right way, right? They squat, they put their feet on the toilet seat and they squat, right? Like I said, I got West Indian parents, so I kind of understand it, right? Although that's a whole another subject. Like when you go back a yard, certain places they have an certain yards still have an outhouse, right? They don't have indoor toilets, right? Which is real kind of third world kind of things, but it's also the right way of doing things, right? Now, the fact that men and women take shits at work, they just don't give a fuck, right? And hats off to them, but I just can't. Me personally, I can't, right? And I know it kills me sometimes, and I badly want to take a shit, but I gotta go home, right? You know what I'm like, right? And I know what you're like. You're probably like me as well, right? There's all kinds of other connotations come with taking a shit in public. Like, what? How are you cleaning yourself properly afterwards, right? I was gonna dive into something else there, yeah, but I've already disrespected people enough, right? That's enough disrespect for today, I think, right? Don't you think, right? You get me? There's so much be in the room. I didn't even want to be in the room, you know what I'm saying, yeah? So I understand that, yeah? This conversation, this podcast is a bit degenerative and a tangent. I go off on other things, but yeah, it's real. That was the whole point. That's why I was talking about shit. You know what I mean? That was the whole point, right? Yeah. And a side note, right? For you people that do take shits at work, right? I know you don't want to. You want to be like sneaky MI5 with it, like ooh, like no one knows that you're in there taking a shit. But guess what? We know you're in there taking a shit, right? We know exactly who it is that keeps taking a shit at work, right? So my advice to you would be this: so it doesn't smell, right? And so we can actually use the toilet after you. Every time you take a shit, right, or a piece of shit comes out of you, right, flush the toilet, right? That eliminates the stink in the room, right? Some of you don't fucking realise that, but here, that is how it's done, right? If you ain't got air fresheners and incenses and ventilated bathrooms, right, or like most places don't, that is what you should do. Just flush every time you shit, right? For fuck's sake, look, that's what I mean, right? This is why I like this show, right? Myself, when I watch this back, I'm gonna laugh because it'll be like, fucking hell, you're a madman, right? Look where you started, look where you finished, right? To bring it all back round to the beginning, one-man shows are cool, they're funny, right? Because we're having a mental dialogue with the person we're watching and listening to and interacting with, right? We don't have to speak to them because we can hear them in our minds and we can hear our own conversation or points back of the points that I've raised, just like the Bill Burr show, right? He says crazy, funny shit, right? At the same time. But you get it, you understand it, and you're here for it, right? So it works, right? So yeah, if you do feel kind of strange about just watching a show with one person in it, I would say to you, you need to kind of check out your own like programming and indoctrination. You're a bit too used to formulaic things, right? And I watch podcasts too with multiple people on it, and I also watch shows with just individuals that educate me, that entertain me, that inform me, right? I do it too, right? So yeah. I was gonna say something that other podcasters would be like, oh fuck this guy, bruv, who does he think he is, right? But the truth is, you and I both know a lot of podcasters, even myself, right, are kind of dumb, right? We don't actually know shit, but because you get 3 or 4 dumb people in a room at the same time, crazy and interesting things happen. But because I'm a crazy ass individual, crazy fucking interesting things happen anyway, right? Sometimes I'm like a Richard Pryor of myself, right? If you don't know who Richard Pryor is, you really should go check him out, right? Badass, right? Badass comedian. Weird, controversial person, but he's the Mac Daddy of all your favourite comedians, right? If Richard Pryor didn't do the shit he did, a lot of them wouldn't be able to do the stuff they did, right? Yeah. And there's another guy, George Carlin, right? Yeah. And see how that all rings back together. Like your Patrices and your Bill Burrs, they're both from Boston, right? But their style of comedy is very direct, right? It's very truth orientated, right? A white guy and a black guy's perspective, but raw truth, right? Just like George Carlin and Richard Pryor, a black guy and a white guy with raw truths, but they make it funny because it's so fucking real, right? Individuals doing real individual things, just keeping it real, right? So like I said, I know this episode was a laid back tangent episode, right? But I think, but me 5 minutes from now might be like, what the fuck was you talking about? Why did you do all of that, alright? And you're probably sat at home thinking, what the fuck is this guy on about? But he's entertaining me. I'm having a laugh at his expense, which you should, right? Because that is the point of it. So if I did manage to educate you or entertain you, drop a like, drop a subscribe, right? You help channels like mine. You help channels like mine permeate YouTube in the browser, right? Because we're real people with small channels. We're not big media outlets, right? And we don't have paid for messaging and branding, so it's hard for us to be seen on a timeline if people don't actually interact and share and like us, right? Us. I say that us, but yeah. Truthfully, when you like a video of mine, other videos like me pop up for you, right? So you help to keep us circulating the internet, and you help to keep freedom of speech free. Because think about all of the real detrimental shit I've just said in this podcast today, right? That you wouldn't hear from the average podcaster that has to worry about branding and social, political, losing their job, right? I might lose my job, but I don't give a fuck. I'm a real person, right? And that's what makes it matter, right? That's what makes real opinions matter, right? Because I'm willing to stand up for what I believe and what I think, but I'm not willing to stand on the shoulders of ignorance. I'm willing to learn, right? And find out, right? And be educated by you, the viewer, and the real world out there, right? So thank you for your time. I appreciate you joining me as always, right? It is really a luxury in life as a normal person to have other normal people actually care about what I have to say and interact with me and give me feedback, and you know, and I'm able to entertain you. I'm actually able to offer something back to humankind, right? Through my work, through my words, through my existence. It's dope, right? We're existing together in a very special time in history. Like this is what a time to be alive, right? We have everything, right? But at the same time, without each other, we have nothing, right? So, Drivers Mate Podcast. Thank you for your time. I hope you have a good day. Hope you enjoy yourself, and don't go out there being racist or xenophobic, or just because I had that opinion on Black History Month and Muhammad Ali and the Nation of Islam and Muslims and stuff, right, doesn't mean that I'm against these people, right? I'm just giving you a point of view, right? So don't go out there saying that I said it's okay to think like that, because I didn't, right? I'm just making a point, right? Anyway, why am I justifying myself, right? You know what I mean, right? Look at what society has done to us, man. We can't just be honest, right? And you and I both know, right? When we take off our bloody high visors and we sit down, right? I was gonna say we have a cigar and a brandy, but I don't smoke or drink, right? But in the old days, that's what we do as men. We have a cigar and a brandy, right? When we sit down and we fucking talk, yeah, we know we're talking like men and women. We don't give a fuck what anybody thinks, right? It's not politically correct. It's never meant to be. It's meant to be honest and wrong. But yeah, you gotta know when I'm trolling and when I'm not. But anyway, man, look what PC culture has done to us, man. Fuck, got me apologising for shit I even done wrong, bruv. Damn it. You get me? Comment. Tell me in the comments if you've got any experiences like this, right? And what did you think? Do you remember all of that UK rap history? Like, have you run into Keisha's? All of that, yeah, all of that, right? Just let me know what you think, right? Drivers Mate podcast, and treat people good, right? Treat people how you would want to be treated, right? Even though we may have made disparaging comments, it is for a laugh, right? And I apologise again. I'm like, I did get it, right? Anyway, see you later.